in order to procrastinate from stuff I actually need to do, and in order to get used to some new glasses, which I don't know is actually going to happen. Got some YouTube videos in my inbox that figured I would play, and call them this watching Clickbait and Citation Needed. You know, Citation Needed, you'll see that when somebody makes a claim. It's a pretty profound claim, but doesn't really back it up. The other one is kind of deepities. This is really kind of a deepity claim, I think. See what we can find about deepities. What is a deepity? That's different than a derpity. And I found out recently that there's something called derpetology, which is very related to my field of herpetology. And it's just derpy looking reptiles, which is awesome. Let me see if I can actually find some pictures of that, because I have had some derps in my time. See if we can find some derptiles. Derpetology, Facebook. So that is a derptile. Okay, this is derpetology. That is awesome. Let's see if they have actual images here somewhere. Recent media. It's not too derpy. What are you talking about? Aren't being derpy. That's just normal. Dog and toad. That's not derpy. That's scary. Okay. Yeah, don't mess around with that. Eyebrow vipers, that's a little bit derpy. That. Yeah, you know what? Geckos are just derpy. Anyway, so deepity. Let's go to deepities. A deepity is a proposition that seems both important and true and profound, but that achieves this effect by being ambiguous. One reading is manifestly false, but it would be earth-shaking if it were true. On the other reading, it is true but trivial. The unwary listener picks up the glimmer of truth from the second reading and the devastating importance from the first reading and thinks, wow, that's a deepity. Example, love is just a word. Love is an English word, but just a word, not a sentence, for example. Yeah. Or love is all you need, you know. That's another deepity. All right. These glasses are fogging up on me, and I'm not happy about that. We'll see how this goes. It's not really usable, so you can just fog up all the time. All right, so the first one that I got here, citation needed, okay? The first thing here is kind of, I think this is going to be a deepity. The clickbait title of this video is Stop Adjusting the Action on Your Guitar. I don't know how to say anything, but this is clickbait. This is Dylan Talks Tone. I really like this channel, but man, it can go on a long time before you get to the actual thing in the title. This is a 17-minute video. We're going to speed this up and see what this does. Now, stop adjusting the action on your guitar. Of course, you have to stop, because in order to play your guitar, you can't be adjusting your action on it at the same time, right? That would be a deepity, but I don't know if that's the deepity that he means. But stop adjusting the action on your guitar. I would say you adjust the action on your guitar until it is right, and then you stop and play it. And then maybe later on you have to check it. So let's see what this, I'm calling it clickbait. Maybe it's not clickbait. Let's see if this somehow becomes not clickbait.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Dylan Talks Tone.
Let me know if you can hear
Today
this.
we're going to talk a little bit more about setup. It's always funny to me when I hear people talking about guitar stuff, and they'll talk about either setup stuff that they do or fret wear or whatever. I'll never use nickel frets because I wear them out too quick. I mean, are you playing the same guitar hours and hours a week? You know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I hope
Same
so.
thing with setup. I think too many people worry about setup too much. And that might sound a little weird because I'm a person who says there are two things that are important in a guitar that make the biggest difference. One, obviously the pickups, and two, the mechanical workings of the guitar, meaning anytime we have a rattle or we have something that's not set up properly on the guitar, it takes away from the energy between the string and the saddle, and it kills your sustain, it kills what you're trying to do with the guitar. So having a good setup on a guitar is really, really important. However, I think a lot of people worry about, they basically worry about adjusting the guitar way too much. So a couple things I want to show you in this video is one, you don't have to
You guys know this. I am way too guilty of adjusting a guitar way too much. I actually have a database of my action adjustments. I have several string gauge cards. I have now I don't even know what it is, where it is, but I bought one of those really specialized string gauge tools. I also adjusted this thing, modified this tire depth gauge to do string action. That didn't really work out that well. The string depth gauge one didn't work all that well. But I am obsessed with getting correct measurements and getting these things right where I want them. So yeah, I guess I'm kind of guilty of this.
to worry about setup very much on your guitar. Okay, that's number one. And number two, actually look at when you look at the setup on your guitar. I'm gonna use a couple of guitars that I have not played in a while. Okay.
Wait, why are we stopping adjusting action? We're 1:30 in. We're talking about how to set up a guitar. Okay.
I actually kind of left these guitars alone on purpose, but sort of by accident, really. I have not touched. This is my Citation. This is sort of deal. It's got one of my P90s in it. His name. Anyway, and it might need a little bit of setup. So we're going to look at that guitar and we're going to see, here's some things you should do and some things you should not do when thinking about what might be wrong with my guitar. So you don't play this thing for...
It's been sitting for a while, so probably the truss rod might have bent a little bit.
6 months, maybe you don't play it for a couple of months, doesn't matter however long. And you pull it out of the closet, and you pick it up and you go, the action is a little high. Maybe there's a fret buzz. Maybe there's something, I don't know, it's a little weird. And what I've seen people do, okay, what I've seen people do is the very first thing they'll do is they'll go and they'll grab their toolkit, Stumac, link in the description, and they'll start adjusting. Oh, I need to adjust my action on my guitar, so I'm just gonna, adjust my action. Or maybe they will start playing the guitar and realize that the intonation is off and be like, oh, crap, the intonation is off. I need to adjust the intonation.
Okay, so at 3 minutes in, I'm going to guess for the TLDR what they really mean by stop adjusting the action on your guitar, which is, again, still not going to be really all that honest, is don't adjust the action on your guitar. If you were previously happy with your action, you haven't changed the action, and all of a sudden when you pick up your guitar after quite a while, it's got high action or the wrong kind of action on it. Or if the intonation is off, don't adjust your action. Okay. Now this is why I say I went to deepity, because, I had a feeling we're probably going to be there, because while Dylan makes clickbait, it's always something real. So it's going to be a deepity. So I think the TLDR on this is don't adjust your action if something else is the problem. But duh, right? That's just the deepity. If your intonation is off and you haven't changed your action, you haven't changed your strings, you haven't changed your intonation, then it's not going to be your action. right? It's not going to be your saddle height adjustment anyway. It's going to be your what moves, the truss rod, right? Maybe string rate got weird on a floating trim, but it's if your trim's sitting in the right place, it's going to be the truss rod, right? So yeah, don't adjust your action.
Don't do any of that. Don't do any of that. Here's something that I want you to just kind of think about is if you have not touched the guitar, then what is the only thing that can move by itself without you touching it? Expansion and contraction of wood via humidity, not heat in most cases, humidity, the rising and falling of humidity, will cause the wood to expand and contract. And it does it with different guitars to different varying degrees.
Again, this is why I say, why are we still using wood to make guitars? Please don't. Let's stop doing things that, man, guitars, I know tradition, but let's stop making guitars out of wood, please.
I'll show you that here in a few minutes. This guitar is all mahogany. So if I pick up this guitar and the intonation is off, what is the only thing that has moved since the last time I touched it?
Truss rod.
The neck relief. So let's throw a tuner on this guitar and I'm going to show you that actually, in this case, the intonation is off a little bit. The action is a little bit high. But I am not going to adjust this. We're only going to adjust one thing and it's going to fix it.
All right. If the neck moved enough that the action is high and the intonation is off, which way is the intonation off? It is going to be, is it going to be too sharp or too flat? Anybody know? That would be interesting. No, my people counter isn't working on Restream anymore, and I'm not sure why that is. Chris is going. Audio going? Seems weird, but seems like it's working. Okay. All right, yeah, I don't know what's going on with YouTube and stuff. It's been weird lately. Let me just check my channel real quick. Channel. It's the whole time, you know. Right? Right? The audio. Okay, hold on, I'm checking this. Sorry. I've had so many technical issues lately that kind of got me bonkers. Seems like my YouTube is frozen. Okay, hold on, I'm checking this. Sorry. I've had so many technical issues lately. Okay, never mind. All right, I'll shut up. We know where we're going. Here we go.
Fix everything. All right, so we've got you zoomed in here a little bit. See if we can show you this now.
Okay, again, which way is it going to be? So the neck's probably bent up. Action's too high. That means the string's shorter. That means the fretted note is going to be too high, right? And the harmonic is going to be lower. I think. Am I thinking about that right?
It won't be actually that much, but we do have some drift there. See it? It's drifting sharp.
Too sharp.
That one's drifting a little flat. That one's drifting. That one's pretty all right. That one's definitely drifting sharp. That one just sounds bad. You can just tell, and it's drifting a little sharp too. All right, so we've got a couple of strings where the intonation is off. Now, the instinct would be, let me just grab my screwdriver and just adjust that a little bit.
No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't. Why would that be the instinct? If your action is high and your intonation is off, and you haven't changed either of those things, you haven't changed the strings to a different size, why would that be your instinct to go mess with the intonation? You already know the guitar's messed up. You got to fix that neck. Go look at your relief. Hold down your first fret. Hold down your. I don't even want to get into this argument. Hold it down someplace up the neck, and then see if you got string clacking there more than you're used to. I have a little database that tells me how much relief I have. I actually don't believe that for a guitar player like me, we need any relief, but I would rather have a little bit than to have it backbowed. That's the only reason I put any relief in at all.
And check the neck relief on this guitar, see where it's at, see what we need to adjust, and see if, let's go ahead and check the neck relief on this guitar, see where it's at, see what we need to adjust, and see if that right there gets corrected by just the neck relief. Okay, so what we're gonna do here is we're gonna go ahead and put our little dummy capo on so I can have a third hand. I basically just do this to hold the string down, because the way we're going to check our neck relief is with fretting this last fret where it meets the body, and then we're going to check the distance.
Interesting. I put that. I push it right
hot.
onto the fret
All right,
itself.
so let's
I
grab
don't know
our
why
fuse
it's not doing
gauge,
that.
and we'll check that underneath there. Feels like it's about 10 thousandths, which is way more than I normally. You know, I'm going to throw 15 under there and see what happens. About halfway between.
You where he's
somewhere in
holding
here.
it? Okay, so you'll see lots of times people say, hold string down where the guitar meets the body. Now, that's a moving target on any... Here's a neck through body. So I think these guys are so used to bolt-ons or glue-ons, but on a neck through body, where is it that the guitar meets the body on this, right? Is this, hold on, sorry. Does the neck meet the body here on the 24th fret, or here on the 17th fret? You know, I mean, this matters. So when you hear these like rule of thumb things, and then they get in all those big old arguments on the forums, just tell them shut up. Figure it out with a good place, measure at the same place every time, you're fine.
Oh goodness, yeah, 15. All right, cool. Well, I am going to go ahead and grab my Allen key, and let's go ahead and tighten this junk.
So you're going to change the intonation.
Got our neck relief.
Truss rod.
Perfect.
Intonation's looking
Perfect.
good.
Oops. Perfect. 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 So we have completely corrected all the intonation issues that we had on this guitar, and we've also corrected our string height issue, because that completely went away, our action. And we only did one thing. Why did this happen? Because when we...
Okay, so deepity, right? Deepity, can we agree? Should we watch any more of this video?
We set our neck relief on our guitar.
So don't stop adjusting the action on your guitar. Adjust the action on your guitar when it's necessary. When you get your guitar, set it up the way you want. Experiment with how high or low you want the action. And don't stop adjusting it until you're happy. In the case of this video, if you were already happy with your guitar, don't adjust your action when you're not supposed to adjust the action. Just like, here, how about this? Don't change the wheels on your car when the wheels are fine and you just need the new tires. Don't change the handlebars on your bike when you need a new seat. How about that? This is, I don't know, it's kind of dumb. This is clickbait, deepity stuff. I'm sure there's actually good knowledge in here too.
Changing the length of the scale, right? Because if the neck has a bow and it's for the whole neck, and then move, the only adjustment that can happen while you're not touching it is neck relief. So if you pick up your guitar, like we talked about earlier, after
a floating bridge might be a different thing. Okay, I think we got the teal deer of this, right? Is it going to say something else here?
From various places, we don't know where from. We've done whole videos about this and really deep dove into this with sources from all over the world. Sometimes there is some stability situations where the guitar will move around quite a bit. But if it is a quality instrument, chances are you will be able to go months or even years without ever touching the setup on your guitar. There's no reason to fiddle with something that doesn't need to be fiddled with.
Yeah. Don't change your handlebars when you need a new seat on your bike. I mean, this is... All right, sorry, Dylan, but this is kind of peak toy right here. All right. Anyway, okay, let's go to this one. This is my citation needed video because We did have a recent one. I really like this channel because, man, he really shows you a lot about the woodworking and stuff. But I think this guy's kind of a tone wood believer. And it's not clickbait because, you know, this is a thing people want to know. Does finish affect the tone of an electric guitar? Now, there are really easy ways to figure this out. And so far, the answer is no. But if you do think that the answer is yes, that's where we say citation needed. So let's see. This is only a short video, so let's just see if. Now, I want to, something that I say a lot when it comes to these kind of claims, when you talk about magical or religious claims in audio, people only ever talk about it. If something's actually making a difference, it's really easy to show. Yesterday, I was in a room near Waikiki where they were determining the frequencies in the room. They're basically shooting a room, right? Like just like you do in your control room, you're checking for standing waves. You're seeing if you can EQ the system a little bit, figure out where the crossover points are. You do this by putting measurement microphones up. You play some tones in the room and you figure it out. You have actual measurements before and after, A/B comparisons. You can document everything. And when you see these magical claims by people, they never give you any evidence. They don't do the test they could easily do. One guy who does a test, and actually this guy actually spoke a little bit negatively about it, was Jim Lill. Jim Lill with his video, what's it called? Where does tone come from in a guitar or something? Tone wood. Where does tone come from in an electric guitar? He makes himself this little two benches and puts some strings across. Sounds just like any other guitar, you know. It's the pickups, it's the electronics, it's the scale length, where you put the pickup, how far is the pickup from the string, done. Wood just doesn't mean anything. So when they make these claims, they never present any evidence. That's why I say citation needed. But let's see how this goes, because who knows?
Hey guys, it's Chris from Highline Guitars. You're watching another one of my YouTube guitar building videos. If you're new to my channel, over the years I have made a lot of videos where I talk about applying.
You guys can see I am subscribed, all notifications. I like this guy's channel. It's just the tone wood stuff is
finish on electric guitars. As a result, I get a lot of comments and questions from viewers who want more details. Recently, however, I've also received some comments from viewers who want to know how the finish affects the tone of an electric guitar.
not how, if. First, you got to establish if, then you can move on to how. This is like when people argue over invisible sky monsters, like my invisible sky monster can beat up your invisible sky monster. First of all, you got to prove that sky monster's there before you just dumb. You can't make any other claims unless you know the thing's even real.
And there was one comment in particular where a viewer actually criticized my use of boiled linseed oil or tung oil as a finish. And the reason why he criticized it is because he said that luthiers who make violins, violas, and cellos don't use those kind of finishes out of concern that they will negatively impact the resonance of the instruments that they build. Well, I totally agree with that. It absolutely will.
Wait. What do you mean by negative? Let's say that the thing's too bright and this soft finish dulls it or something. That wouldn't be negative, right? What do you mean by negative? So these guys always use all these words that could mean something. They could mean something else. Meanwhile, in audio, we actually have definitive, objective terms for all this stuff. Do you want bandwidth, frequency response, dynamic range, right? Noise, distortion. Those things matter. We can measure those things. What do you mean by negative, positive, whatever? So again, we're always into the weasel words. We're never into the actual measurements. Easily take a picture. You can see it, no problem.
However, I'm not making violins, violas, or cellos. Those are acoustic instruments. I build electric guitars. Violins, violas, and cellos function the same way that an acoustic guitar works as far as generating the sound and the tone. The acoustic instrument relies heavily on the choice of the wood, as well as how the wood is cut, carved, sanded, and shaped, and then how the finish is applied. Those factors greatly contribute to the sound and the tone of the instrument. But with
I'd be surprised if the finish actually matters that much on an acoustic. I'd love to see any data. If you guys have any evidence or anything either way, let me know, because I kind of doubt it.
an electric guitar, your sound and your tone is coming from the pickups and the electronics. The wood is merely a support system for the pickups, the electronics, as well as the frets and the strings. The wood and the finish, while it does have an impact on tone.
Okay. Now I'm going to say citation needed. He just stated in no uncertain terms, the wood and the finish have an impact on the tone. He's going to say it's a small amount, I think, from the context I just saw, but he's claiming it does. Let's see the evidence for that. Spoiler alert, I almost guarantee we're not going to get any evidence for this.
It is very, very small. Furthermore, unlike an acoustic instrument, those factors, the wood and the finish, can't really be manipulated to affect the tone. You're not going to know what the guitar is going to sound like until after it's completely finished.
Okay, citation needed again. I say that if you know what pickup you're using, what RC circuit you're using, your volume knob and tone knob, your cap, capacitor, where you're putting the pickup, how far you're putting the pickup from the strings, the scale length of the guitar, you do know what it's going to sound like. You know exactly what it's going to sound like. And if you do that twice, I don't care if you paint one guitar and don't paint the other, you're going to get the same result. If there's any evidence to the contrary, please present it. You're just making claims at this point.
Until you've strung it up, tuned it, intonated
Nope.
it, and then test played it.
Nope.
It's at that point that you'll know exactly what the guitar is going to sound like.
Nope.
With an acoustic instrument, however, as you're building it, you can shape and sand the wood to produce a certain tone, and you can control that. Now, of course, it takes skill and experience to do this, but that's what a skilled and experienced luthier does when they make an acoustic guitar. They will also use finishes that they know are not going to inhibit the resonance of the wood. But with a solid body electric guitar, the wood and the finish simply don't have a significant enough impact to warrant concern. If you build a guitar and you string it up, you tune it, you intonate it, plug it into your amp and play it, and you decide that's not the tone I was hoping for, all you can do to fix it is to change the pickups or the electronics.
Yeah.
You can't change the wood.
And that's all that's going to make any difference anyway. So there you go.
And the effort to change the finish is far more difficult than it's worth. And there's a good chance that if you were to strip all the finish off and apply a different finish, when you go to play the guitar, it's not going to sound that much different.
Not going to sound any different. We need a citation that's going to sound any different at all.
So if you're trying to build a guitar with a certain tone, you have to really focus on the pickups and the electronics.
Yes.
And focus less on the kind of finish that is
Focus none on the kind of finish. It's just the pickups and the electronics.
to be applied. When it comes to applying finish, what I think is the most important thing to do is to look at the wood and decide what would be the best finish to either enhance the beauty of the wood,
Yes.
or to cover up how boring the piece of wood looks.
Yes.
So you're either going to be dyeing and staining the wood,
And it's just for looks.
or you're going to be painting it.
And to seal it. You know, you don't want termites in there eating, and you don't want water getting in there.
And at that point, there's no real reason to obsess about whether or not your choice is going to affect the tone. Instead, put the finish on that's going to look the best, and then worry about shaping the tone based on the type of pickups and the electronics.
I'm sorry, I'm not going to beat up on this guy. I need to get some work done. This has just been